Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming. Before we all get into the meat of tonight, I'd like to pledge allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone.
So,
I'd like to welcome everyone. I personally couldn't make Julie's house, and when she had it in June, was it June? Yeah. And I know there were a lot of people that were still away or not in their homes. So with a little juggling of the schedules, we got Julie to get in touch with everyone, and thank God Gulf Harbor Strong came through, and we're having tonight. We have a lot of vendors here who people have already met, have already spoken to. Hopefully you have good questions to ask. I know I do. I just want to thank again Julie and her group for getting everything together. This will be also put on Facebook. We'll get the program underway right away. Julie?
Okay, so the way that this runs is that every 20 minutes we're going to have a different vendor or presenter from each company come up and tell about their product and demonstrate some of it up front here, and it's all going to be taped. And in the meantime, you're welcome to walk around and talk with all of them as well, as long as you don't drown out who's speaking up here. Also, up here on this table, take a look at this board. These were things that just we've put together with a little help from some of my neighbors. Things that happened that we needed immediately following the flood, and a lot of people donated things to the hall. I don't know if any of you made it up to the hall immediately following the flood, but we had a lot of donations, and we were giving out all of these items for free. And then what did you do right after the flood? The number one thing I think a lot of people did was call their insurance companies, get that claim number, and get your first inspection in. That was like the first thing on the list, but that's that. And there's another one, what would you do differently and why? We'll talk about that later, but come up with some ideas of what you would do differently, because I think that threw us all for a loop, and I don't know anybody that had their stuff together totally. And then over here is what are some of the products you've used since the flood that you've found to be successful as far as soaking tools. I know a lot of people lost their tools, coins, bullets, things like that. So if there's any products that you use specifically after the flood to get your things back, please put your ideas up here. So we're going to get started, and this is the list. This is the itinerary of people that are speaking, and we're going to go ahead and have Jeff Starkey from Great Florida Insurance come up, and he's going to do some speaking first. And I like to say that he puts some of the myths to rest and tells us the truths about how insurances work. So welcome, Jeff Starkey.
How are y'all? I just spoke at Julia's house a few weeks ago. Some of you there, some of you may have not been there. It's a lot cooler in here than it was that hot afternoon day. I do this very informally. Gulf Harbors has been really, really good to me. I've been hanging out here since I was a kid. I'm a third generation property and casualty agent here in Newport Richie. I'm not here to sell my agency. I'm going to go over some key talking points with you I think will help. And if you have any questions at the end, it won't be very long. I'm happy to do a Q&A. And just like Julie said, put some myths to rest. There's a lot of rumors that were going on out there after this Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton hit our area. Looks like you guys are all pretty much flood experts now, I would imagine. I've been through 3 in the last 10 years at my mom's house. I use that for a reference a lot because I kind of handle everything for her. She was flooded with a dahlia, just got back in her house, and 3 months later, Helene hit, and she lives on the river in downtown Newport Richie, and she's lived there since 1972. She's 80 years old, and unfortunately, it's just become too much. So we are going to tear her house down and actually sell it a lot. She bought a little condo out by my office, and she loves it. She's happy as can be. Let me go over a couple talking points that I did at Julie's house, things that stick out to me that I think will be beneficial for you guys going into yet another hurricane season. You guys live here in paradise. We know what the perils are We know the risks are, but the quality of life and having your boat out back is second to none in my opinion. I grew up on the river, fished the flats out here, and I love this area. And I'm going to go over some homeowners talking points first, homeowners insurance, and then we'll do some flood insurance talking points. And then if anyone has any questions or concerns, just raise your hand and I'll be happy to do my best to answer them for you. So as we go into hurricane season, a couple of things that stand out to me that I wanted to share with y'all. Number one, know your all other peril and your hurricane deductible on your homeowner's insurance. The homeowner's insurance is going to cover wind, lightning, things like that, hail, obviously not rising floodwater, that's flood claims. But we did have clients in my agency. I had, I think, about 190 flood claims from Hurricane Helene in my agency. It was a trying time for my clients, it was a trying time for me. We navigated the claims process the best that we could, but it was challenging at times, I'll be honest with you. In my opinion, there weren't enough adjusters to go around, and these adjusters were working 12, 16-hour days, and they were overworked, and it showed. So hopefully if we were to endure another flood loss like Helene, they'll be more prepared this time. But number one, know your all other peril and hurricane deductibles. I spoke to a lady today that has a house on Marlin Drive, lives there most of the year. She's in Indiana. She wanted me to review her homeowner's policy. She's with Universal, one of the companies I write through. Sent me her deck page, and then she asked me to quote my other carriers. So we use a comparative rater, where we just, it's a software program that we just put the value on the dwelling in, the deductibles, and it gives us a rate for all the carriers, so we can quickly quote 10 carriers at one time. She, in her instance today, she had a 10% hurricane deductible and didn't realize it. The agent had given her a 10% hurricane deductible. Maybe they discussed it, maybe they didn't, but she wasn't aware of it at the time. She asked for a higher deductible than 2%, but I don't think she realized those 10%. Yes, ma'am? So a hurricane deductible is built into pretty much every homeowner's policy in the state of Florida. You have a all other peril deductible, which covers anything non-hurricane related. So let's say we had a bad thunderstorm this afternoon, tornado came through, that's going to be an all other peril deductible because it wasn't from a named hurricane or named tropical storm, right? It's built into most policies. The standard is 2% of your insured dwelling. So if your home's insured for $500,000 replacement cost value, your hurricane deductible is going to be 2% of that. She was insured for about $650 and had a 10% hurricane deductible, and I don't think she realized it. So she had wind damage to her house, her roof blown off, anything like that. She's out $65,000 with her hurricane deductible before her policy would even kick in the first dollar. So you can go 2%, 5%, or 10% on your hurricane deductible. From my experience, it really doesn't save that much premium going from 2 to 5 to 10. Obviously, if you go from 2 to 10%, you're going to save more than going 2 to 5%. But your agent can quote you both ways. If you have a 5% deductible right now, and you want to know what it is, if you dropped it to 2% or vice versa, you should be able to call your agent up and they can answer that question for you. Obviously, the higher your deductible, the lower the premium. So you want to review your policies now that we're in hurricane season, and make sure you know what your deductibles are. It's very, very important so you're not surprised if you have a wind claim, right? Number two, this kind of goes with homeowners and flood insurance, is make sure that your mortgage and lien holders on your policy are up to date. We had about 3 or 4 clients from Hurricane Helene who had a home equity loan or a second mortgage that they had paid off. They didn't notify our agency, nor did the bank when they paid the loan off. So when those claims checks are issued, they have to be issued in your name and your first mortgagee and or second mortgagee if you have a second mortgage on there. So what happened was they got their claim check, they had a second mortgagee listed on there. They couldn't cash the check because they wouldn't endorse it because there was no loan anymore. So they had to get a letter from that lender saying the loan had been paid off, get it to us, have us endorse the policy, and then wait for a second check. So it just delays the process quite a bit. So you want to be sure, you want to be sure that if you have a mortgage that was paid off, be sure it's not on your policy because the check will be issued, a claim check, whether it's from home or flood claims, with that lien holder on there, you won't be able to cash it, and you have to, wait and get a second check issued. Another thing I want to bring up, because this is happening quite a bit, raise your hand if you're insured or were insured with Citizens Insurance. Not too many? Yeah, a few in here. A lot of folks start off with Citizens, and then they're assumed, right, by takeout carriers. We're seeing that a lot. We had a lot of Citizens policies at our agency over the years, and they're insuring many more policies than they wanted to, and the states realize that. So they're allowing these private carriers to assume policies through the depopulation process. If they offer you a policy renewal through a private carrier that's within 20% of what your citizens' projected renewal is going to be, you have to go with that. You can't opt out. If it's over 20%, you can opt out. But the reason I bring this up is citizens, they limit certain coverages. They don't cover screen enclosures or pool cages, right? That's a big deal for a lot of people that have pool cages. They're really expensive to replace. If you are with Citizens, or you were assumed by a private carrier, say Heritage, Florida Peninsula, any of these takeout companies, there's so many of them. Once you're assumed, those policies are customizable through that new carrier. So like if I'm with Citizens and I got an offer within 20% from Florida Peninsula through the Depop program, and I had to go with it, then now I'm with Florida Peninsula, I don't have a choice. However, I have a pool cage that wasn't covered because Citizens doesn't offer that coverage. It's just excluded. You can call your agent and get a quote to endorse your pool cage coverage onto your new private carrier. So because Citizens didn't offer it, when the policy is assumed through the Depop process, the same coverages roll over. So you will still not get coverage. However, if that carrier offers pool cage coverage, you can get a quote and you can endorse it on now because you're no longer with Citizens. Another big coverage lapse, or gap, I don't want to say lapse, but Citizens only allows $100,000 in liability insurance for personal liability. All the private carriers go up to $300,000, some will go up to $500,000. It's only an $18 difference normally annually to go from $100,000 to $300,000 with a private carrier. So if you were with Citizens and you got assumed, if I got assumed, I'd increase that liability coverage to protect yourself, right? Any injuries on your property, it's only $18 a year to go from $100,000 to $300,000. To me, I think it's worth doing it. The last talking point I'll talk about with homeowners insurance, and this is important when it comes to premium, is are you getting your maximum wind mitigation discounts? Do y'all know what wind mitigation discounts are, the majority of you? It can cut a premium in half, depending on what you qualify for. Most of the homes in Gulf Harbor qualify for some, and some qualify for all the roof discounts. The biggest one is called the roof-to-wall connection. So if you haven't reviewed your wind mid inspection recently or had your agent do it, I would go ahead and do that, because a lot of folks in here, or a lot of homes in here, when they were built, they did put the clips on for the roof-to-wall connection, and they only used 2 nails. When the wind mid forms first came out, when the state of Florida implied that or allowed that discount for all the private carriers and Citizens, they were okay with 2 nails. They changed it back in, I want to say, maybe 2017 or so, and they now require 3 nails. So you could have a clips with 2 nails and you're not getting that discount. There is a company, there's more than one company that will come in and add that 3rd nail. It's not an easy job because they have to get up in the attic. Sometimes they can pull a fascia or socket down and do it like that, but normally they crawl through the attic and they have to do it. However, I've seen it save $1,000 to $1,500 to $2,000 on a premium just by having that discount based on the overall premium. So if you really want to review your limit discounts, talk with your agent about it. If you're not getting that roof-to-wall connection with the clips or hurricane wraps, you might want to look into getting a free estimate. I have a company, we refer folks to a company called Maximum Solutions. I have their number. If you need it, you can just Google their business name, but their number is 855-344-7595, and they will come out and give you a free estimate to add that 3rd nail if you only have 2 nails. I'm sorry? Maximum Solutions, their number is 855-344-7595. I have no affiliation or ownership in this company. I can just tell you they do a really good job. They're professional. And when they're done, they have a home inspector they contracted with to go in and complete a new wind mit form showing that you now qualify, and it could save you a lot of money. Yes, sir.
Hey, Jeff, I did that with you 3 years ago. I showed you put that 3rd nail in, and within 15 months you paid for the work being done.
Right.
And maybe money never saved.
It normally does,
That's
yes.
the best deal money
Yeah.
to spend money on.
It's a free estimate to do it if you don't have the 3rd nail. And then it's a hard job. They might charge you $1,200, but normally you make that up in the first 2 years in premium. So it's a really good thing to do if you haven't done. Just always review your limit inspection form from the last time you had it done. If you get a new roof put on, go ahead and make sure the roofing company, most of them will offer a free wind mitigation inspection with the new roof. If not, I'd ask for it prior to them doing the job. And you might get additional discounts based on when your roof was last replaced prior to this one. Flood insurance, we'll move on to any other homeowners insurance questions for now? Yes, sir. Okay?
Can you get another wind met on the existing one, or you just?
Oh, absolutely, replace it. So, and what we always do is sometimes one opinion, you might have a very thorough home inspector. So we have clients that we have wind met discounts on record already, and they get a new roof, and they send us a new one. We obviously always compare the old one that they're getting the discounts on to the new one, because if the new inspector did not say give the clips discount and they were already receiving on the old inspection, we're not going to want to replace the roof. Like, that's one discount. It's called FBC on the wind met form, Florida Building Code. It's the same discount if your roof was put on after 2001 as it is 2025. So if your roof was put on in 2005, you're already getting that FBC discount. And then you replace it in 2025, it's the same discount. So a lot of people think, oh, I got a new roof, my rate's going to go down. If the roof that's currently on there that you're replacing was put on after 2001, you're most likely already getting that FBC Florida Building Code discount. So it's not going to save you any money. So, but oftentimes another discount with the wind met, not get too deep into it, but they measure the size of the nails in the plywood too. It's called roof deck attachment, and a lot of times they use 16 nails, and the larger nails is what gives you the discount to 18 nails. So that is one thing that they can't do when they rip the shingles or the tiles off. If they have 16 nails, they could go in and add 18 nails in the plywood, and that saves you money as well. So, yes, sir, you had a question? I thought I saw another hand. No? Yes.
What?
Go ahead.
And they're dropping me, and I guess my only choice will be citizen. Is that what's going on in the market?
Could you repeat that again? I'm sorry.
I'm with Florida Peninsula right now for
Florida Peninsula?
home insurance.
And they're dropping it?
I've never had any claim,
Mm-hmm.
and they're dropping it.
Did they say why? Is it just exposure or
They're
management?
trying to reduce the risk.
Yeah, it's just that's very. It's frustrating when I hear that, because Florida Peninsula is actively writing new policies. West of 19 right now, yet they're not renewing people. But no, Citizens is not your only option to answer your question. You can call your agent or any agency. But once again, I'm not here to push myself. I'm just here to help Gulf Harbor's residents. Call any agent or your agent, and they should be able to shop that rate for you. Citizens may be the lowest, but they have to, even with a new business policy, 20% lower than any other company, and they are very careful with that now. When we do a Citizens quote, we have to put it through a comparative rater with all the other companies that my agency or your agency is contracted with, and we have to get the rate from all the private carriers as well as Citizens in order to be able to bind a policy now with Citizens. So we have to be able to prove that Citizens is 20% lower than all of our private carriers. If there's one that's 18% higher, it's within that 20% range, I can't write to a Citizens policy. But there are many more options now than Citizens. We're a little more limited west of 19 than we are east of 19. Newer roofs are going to give you more options. Most companies won't go back further than 15 years on the roof for new business policies, unless it's a tile or metal roof. But sorry you're being non-renewed. That's a bit surprising, but it does happen. But it's frustrating when I hear people are getting non-renewed by a carrier that's writing new business policies in the same zip code. So it just kind of describes the homeowners insurance industry in Florida. It's pretty wacky compared to most other states. On the flood insurance real quick, I stressed this when I spoke at Julie's house. The biggest thing that I can stress after what we've just experienced is to make sure you are documenting your renovations. Go back to my mom's house. She just got flooded by a dahlia. She's on the repetitive flood loss list. We had to adjust it directly from the National Flood Insurance Program. Once you're on the repetitive flood loss list, they move you from your private carrier, and you're now insured with NFIP, National Flood Insurance Program direct. There's no middleman. So that's where she's at. And then she got flooded with Helene. Like I said, I handled her claim for her. I called the claim in, spoke to the adjuster, represented her as her agent, and I'm her power of attorney as well. He wouldn't even start the claim from Helene until I sent him documentations that the renovations were made from Dahlia. She had hired the general contractor, so we had a final permit from a GC, but just me being in the industry, I went through the house and took a videotape and pictures of every room in the house. You have to document that your renovations are completed, or they're going to do the same thing to you if you get flooded again this year or next year. Because a lot of these homes have not been renovated. They're sitting there with the drywall ripped out and nothing inside, and they're going to be sure they're not just paying out on that policy for a home that wasn't renovated. So that's the biggest thing I can stress moving into this hurricane season and hurricane seasons moving forward. If you were flooded, you have to document your renovations. They're going to ask for it before they start your next claim. God forbid, which hopefully doesn't happen in 100 years, but if it were. You went first, and no, good at you. Go ahead. For us, it entailed having a general contractor's final permit, which we hired a GC, but he asked for, I sent him 60 photos. I went in every room, and I documented that everything has been renovated, that there's new vanities in the bathrooms, that the drywall's been done. How can they tell? Well, that's why, like I said, if you have permits, that helps. If you subcontract it yourself, and you hire someone to put your kitchen in, keep paid receipts, things like that. But hopefully, even prior to the claim, like I tell my clients this, when you take a new policy out, it's always a good idea, not just during hurricane season, but to go through your house and take a video. So you can prove what your house looked like. So we had photos of my mom's house prior to Adalia, and then photos after Adalia, after it was renovated. So I sent him both, and he was able to document it. If you have nothing, it's going to be more difficult. Now, if the adjuster comes in and sees that the kitchen is newer and that he or she can tell, you're not going to have as big a problem. But this fellow didn't even come out to start field adjusting your house until I sent him the photos that we had and the final permit. So it's just something I didn't realize how important it was until we just got flooded twice in 14 months. Yes. Right. Yeah. Absolutely. If you get documentation from the county, they were out before, and that it was ripped out and gutted, and drywall was taken out, and the whole house was gutted, and then they come back out to re-inspect it. Keep all those documents, absolutely. But photos, to me, a photo's worth 1,000 words. It helps a lot. Any documentation you have, whether it be in paper and writing, permits, photos, whatever, just try to keep it, so if, God forbid, you were flooded again, you can prove that you did do the renovations. Number 2, talking point flood insurance, know where your limits are. Many of you just purchased new furniture. Do you need to increase your contents limits? Know what your contents limits are. What your limits are for contents on your flood policy. Some people carry 0. There's agents out there, I'll be honest with you, when we do a new business flood quote, we quote $20,000 on contents. And the replacement costs up to $250 on the dwelling. If I quoted $100,000 every time I did a quote, I'd never write a flood policy. So it depends on what agent you work with. Some agents will quote 0 contents because they know the price of the NFIP is the same no matter where you go, or it should be. So know what when you sign that application, it's a contract. It states what your dwelling and your contents coverages are on that application, and it's mailed to you every year on your declaration page. So know what your limits are. If you carry $10,000 limits and you just replace every piece of furniture in your house, you may want to get a quote from your agent on what it would be to increase it to $30,000, $40,000, or $50,000, and they can do that. There's a 30-day waiting period from the time that endorsement is processed for that to happen, but it's important to do that. 2 questions. You first.
Just a statement.
Yes.
Well, before the hurricane, we went to take pictures and videos through the house. What we did not do is open the closets where I had small appliances that were in a lower cabinet.
Yes.
I did not take pictures of those. I lost so much money in those small appliances, food, my shoes that are on the floor in the closet.
And that.
Nobody pushed me.
Right.
Open the closet and take a picture of them.
And that's why, to me, a video is just walking through your house. Because if your house, this poor homeowner, his house burned down on West Shore, right? I mean, what a tragic event. We've had total losses from fires in my agency. It's a horrible time. Flooding is horrible. You just want to get the stuff out of your house to prevent any mold damage. People have dumpsters. They just throw it out in the dumpster, get rid of it. It's hard during a stressful time like that to remember exactly every item you had in your house. If you go through and take a video or photos inside, outside your closet, every bedroom, every room in your house, it's going to help you when you're going through that stressful time because it adds up quick. It really, really does. And flood insurance, with contents, you cannot buy replacement cost coverage. It's all actual cash value. That's why it's important to keep receipts on these high value items because let's say we have a flood or a fire or any loss and you just put in brand new Ethan Allen furniture in your living room, It's their own, with a flood claim, with ACV on the contents, they can only depreciate that by when you bought it. So you're going to get the majority of what you paid for it back. 10 years from now, you're going to get less back because it's based on actual cash value with contents. The depreciated value for each item based on how old they are. So these high value items with your new furniture, keep electronic receipts, keep videos, keep photos to help prove that. We had clients that threw out a lot of furniture with my agency and didn't document it. And the claims adjuster, the field adjuster, is having a hard time because he or she can't just go on your word that you had that. They need some kind of documentation, no matter what type of claim it is. Who had their hand up? Yes.
So for the regular general insurance.
Yes, homeowners.
My understanding is that you cannot have a zero coverage contract.
It depends on your carrier. You can. Like, we use Universal a lot in Gulf Harbor. They've been very competitive lately. They will allow you to drop your content. The standard is 50% of your dwelling value. So your home's insured at $500,000. The standard throughout the years has been $250,000, half the dwelling coverage. Some companies will allow you to drop that down to 25%, and even lower. Universal, for instance, if you have 50% of your dwelling insured for contents with replacement costs, then it depends on the carrier. So the Universal will allow you to drop it to 25%, but they won't allow you to keep replacement costs on it. So they'll say, yeah, you can insure at 25%, but if you want replacement cost coverage, it has to be 50%. And if you want to drop it all together and carry zero contents in your homeowners, you can do so. I don't know of a carrier that won't allow that.
I switched from Susan to the new one. What is
There's so many new ones.
you mentioned?
Florida Peninsula? Okay.
And
They don't allow it. Okay, that's surprising to me.
And then the other question I have is for the flood insurance, that there are these letters from FEMA saying that you have to insure your house if it's in money from FEMA.
Yeah. So,
And is that for content and for the?
no, from what I believe, it's just dwelling, and they don't require the amount of coverage. You just have to have a flood policy on your dwelling, not contents. But a lot of new things have come out after the storm. I don't know if any of you have witnessed this. We have clients that have not carried flood insurance for years. They got flooded, and FEMA just offered this blanket group policy for folks that didn't carry flood insurance. And it's not normally the full replacement cost. And the majority of the offers I've seen, and they're paid for it for like 3 years. It's around $93,000 for building and contents on these blanket policies that they're offering for free. And part of that agreement is that for 3 years you have to continue to carry flood insurance. But as far as I know, there's no limit on contents whether or not you carry it. It's just an agreement you have with them. Yes, sir.
What if you don't get insurance after the 3 years? Now you can't afford it.
I have no idea what they're going to do. All they say right now is if you don't live up to your end of that agreement, is that you, quote, may not be eligible for any FEMA assistance in the future. So I don't think they can put a lien on your home or anything like that. Just if it happens again, you apply for assistance, you let that lapse, then they're just saying right now they have the right to not offer any further assistance. Yes?
Carry on to the next buyer, like if I was.
Yes. From what I understand, yes, they have to carry it as well, or the same thing holds true. Yeah. Any other questions on that subject? Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So, if you have a homeowners or a flood claim, you're going to be assigned an adjuster from that carrier, right? I'll be honest with you. There's a lot of carriers out there, and there's some really, really good adjusters, and there's some flood adjusters. Sorry, I got a bug flying around me. There's some adjusters who I think try to lowball their clients. I've seen it with a friend of mine. He had a flood claim, $1 million house, did extensive damage, and they tried to lowball him. And he went back and forth with them. It was a homeowner's claim. Had enough, so he finally hired a public adjuster. But they're going to keep, from what I understand, that the average is 10% of the claim payout. So before you I would never tell a client to hire a public adjuster or to not hire a public adjuster. That's totally your call. But if you feel like you're being lowballed by your company, whether it be flood, homeowners, and you're adamant about that, I don't see where it would be bad to hire a public adjuster if they can give you more money, but you want to be sure they're getting you more than the 10% they're charging. So nothing bad to say with me about public adjusters. It's just basically if you're not happy with the way the claims process is going, you have the right to hire a public adjuster, and they work for you, and they don't work for the company. So, let me see. Last thing I have, obviously this is pretty common sense, have your policy numbers and claim numbers ready in case this happens again. It's the more that you can keep electronically, the better. Because once again, if you go out to dinner, I had a client who lived on the way up the river downtown Newport Richey. Everyone loves their golf carts in Newport Richey and golf harbors, and they took off on their golf cart to go grab dinner downtown, and they closed their garage door. The motor sparked, and fortunately, the home looked just like this one. The whole it was a total loss, and it's the more documentation. So my point being, if you have paper receipts in your house and you have a fire, it doesn't do a lot of good. So the more you can document electronically for what your assets are inside that house, the better. You can access them from a computer if you were to incur such a devastating loss like that. It just makes your life easier at the time of the claim. So, any other questions? No? Yes, sir.
Point, Jeff, I put this as a point on the list that you're putting out, which is if you're carrying flood insurance, you have a choice of a $2,000 deductible or a $5,000.
Yes.
And if it's only a few dollars more to get a $2,000 deductible, and I made that mistake with my policy. You lose $6,000 in deductible, and all you have to do is pay for $38 a year.
Absolutely, and depending on your carrier, we're using a carrier right now for new business policies. I love it. When it prints a quote out, it shows the premium for all the different deductible levels. That's a great point you brought up. Another thing to remember is homeowners insurance. If you have damaged your home and contents, you're subject to just one deductible. Flood insurance, as most of you have learned, is different. So if you some people carry a $10,000 deductible on their building and their contents. So they're responsible for the first $20,000, $10,000 on their contents, $10,000 on their building before they're paid out by the policy. So that's very, very important talking point about flood insurance. It's two different deductibles, one for your contents and one for your dwelling, which I'm sure most people that got flooded learned on this past flood.
Okay, so we have about five minutes left with you, and before you stop, can you make sure that you give everybody your phone number of your business, and maybe if you have some business cards?
In today's world, it's easiest if you're trying to find me. I have business cards I'm going to leave up here. My last name is pretty common in this area. I'm not related to the Starkey Ranch folks. We were very, very good friends growing up with that family. We grew up in downtown. I've lived here my entire life. I'm, like I said earlier, third generation P&C agent here. But if you just Google Jeff Starkey or Starkey Insurance, my website will come up. All our contact information is there. But our office number is 727-376-0558. And I don't say this to be patronizing because it's not. I've learned the easy way in the long run that just helping people, doing my best as an agent to help people out pays off in the long run. So if any of you would ever want a second opinion on your policy or how win-win discounts work or anything, I'm not going to pressure you. I'm not going to say, well, I'm not going to look at your policy unless you let me quote or take a policy out with me. Gulf Harbors, like I said, has been very, very good to me as an agent throughout the years. I started direct mail right out of college in Gulf Harbors because my dad owned a nationwide agency. Back then, they were ex-wind policies, and Nationwide's homeowners ex-wind policy blew every other carrier away. And my dad, why aren't we marketing this? He was getting ready to retire. He didn't really think that way. So I just started doing direct mail at the time. And ever since then, when I opened my agency 5 years later, I've made great contacts like Judi and other real estate agents and Judi, who've gotten to know, who have just spread my name around and done good things for me. So I'm very, very appreciative to the Gulf Harbors residents. I truly am. If you ever just want an opinion on anything, don't feel obligated. Don't feel like I'm going to try to press you into a policy. I'm 100% truthful when I say this. Call me up if you want a second opinion from what a neighbor or your agent's telling you. I do that free of charge. I'm here for you guys. Anything I can do to help moving forward, I'm happy to do so. Yes, sir.
I just want to ask, one of the things I'm doing is I'm putting up flood barriers all around all my exterior entrances.
Great question.
And I'm just wondering, I know I've already asked you, but maybe you've had a second opinion about it. Is there any way to get any kind of discount on your insurance? Because you can go up to 4 feet now to keep the water out of your house.
So that actually came up earlier this week on Tuesday at a meeting. I've been asked to be on a committee with the city of Newport Richey for whatever reason. I'm not sure why. Is not participating in this committee, but Pasco County Emergency Operations Center and the city of Port Richey have started a committee to try to do the best they can to make sure we're in compliance with the National Flood Insurance Program, getting the lowest rates. And we had a meeting Tuesday, sorry, the plug won't leave me alone. And that's a question that came up. We had someone on the phone on a conference call from FEMA and the NFIP with us, and that question came up. There's vendors out here with these flood barriers, and I'm don't know anything about them. From what I understand, they're still new. As of right now, the National Flood Insurance Program is not offering a discount. But in my opinion, hopefully moving forward, if we have flooding and they say that these and we can prove these systems work like they did at Tampa General, right? I've heard nothing but great things. They did the whole barrier and it worked great. So I'm hoping moving forward, if these barriers that are coming out now and are still relatively new, it's proven that they help. At that point, I hope the NFIP and FEMA will look at that and consider discounts moving forward. But right now, it's just so new, it's not something they're offering currently. Any other questions? Okay, there's cards up here if anyone needs one. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. We really, really appreciate you. Thank you very much. Okay, next up we're going to have Sam from Flex. He'll come up and speak. And just to remind all of you, there is Down Home D's outside. It's the food truck that Paris brought in. Thank you very much, Paris, for bringing them in. And also, don't forget the boards up there. You're welcome to add to the boards or take pictures of the boards of things that came up right after the flood, little reminders of things that you might need to grab in the store. So go ahead and look at those boards, and please feel free to add to those boards and take pictures. So now we're going to have Sam speak. Is the microphone up there for you?
It is.
All right. Take it away.
You all hear me?
How about now? Sorry, I didn't mean to break anyone's eardrum. So thank you, Julie, and thank you all for taking out your time on a beautiful Tuesday evening. I'm sure you'd rather be on the water to come out and talk about this. I was here a few months ago at Julie's home. You had this sort of event. I know you all, many of you were there. And while it is wonderful to see you again, I'm sorry that we have to do this. I said when I was here before that you are some of the most courageous folks that I know, and I mean it then, I mean it now. It's daunting. Here we are 10 days into the hurricane season, and we all have been through this a time or two. I've been a Florida GC for 33 years, came here after a little storm called Andrew over in Miami-Dade County, and that's where I made my living for the next several years. Recently, I've become a nationally certified floodplain manager, and I'm the flood engineer for the Flex Seal family of products. That's Swift Response, if you know them that way. We have a product that we call Secure. We have a banner in the back, and my much better half is here today. We're going to be able to give you brochures on that system. Secure is ultimately the simplest and a very common sense approach to this problem. It is not, NOT not a substitute for elevation. It's not a substitute for a high-quality barrier system. If you go and buy a high-quality barrier system and use it, I applaud you for that. What it is a really good alternative to, though, is doing nothing but sandbags. If all you can do is sandbags and hope and pray, that's not a good solution. And Secure can help you a great deal. Secure is merely a surface-applied, removable flood protection system. Uses products that are similar to, but distinctly different from, the Flex Seal products that you probably have at home already, in that these products are 100% entirely removable. That's the difference. You'll never do that with another Flex Seal product. If you put it on and it's not bright yellow, please stop. Really, please stop. Because you'll never get it off. It'll be there when you sell the house. So the system is engineered to have a tensile strength, a pulling strength, greater than the adhesive strength. Kind of like Post-it notes. Kind of like masking tape. Okay? The product is best used in this very simple manner. Once you've cleaned out any loose dirt you have, That means just blow it out. Doesn't mean get in there with toluene or xylene and scrub your, or isopropyl alcohol and scrub your surfaces. Just blow out the loose dirt. Figure out how high you want to seal. If you've had exposure to 6 inches in the past, you probably want to go a foot. If you've had exposure to a foot, you probably want to go 18 inches. Go above where it's bothered you before. And by the way, if I didn't say it, this is for low-level flooding. This is not for 6 feet of water. It's not what it's for. We've tested it to 3 feet. UL's got a verified set of reports. You can find it on those brochures in the back. We've tested it to 3 feet, a half-inch gap, 3 feet of water, 2 weeks of duration. But that's not really what it's for. What it's for is that low-level flooding, that foot or less, that's 90% of the time it gets in our homes. So back to what we're doing. We determined the height. We cleaned it, we determined the height, we immobilized it. If your door wiggles, if your door moves because of the weather stripping on it, when that water hits it, it's going to move, and we've lost. It has to be completely immobilized. It has to be immobilized, folks, like that. If it wiggles, we're going to lose. So if we're talking about a garage door, and you have the capability, or your son or your daughter or somebody can help you, put a couple of Tapcons through a 2x4 and put it in the center of that garage door and push it in and Tapcon it down and wedge it to that point. If you can't do that, and most folks can't, get door wedges from Kmart or Walmart or any place else and wedge that door in and up so that door is completely immobilized, just like that wall. So we've got it cleaned, we've got the height, we've immobilized it, we've prepared our tools. Now, 3 simple steps. We apply the paste. If you look online, you'll see it used in 1,000 different ways. It's not necessary. We're going to have all new videos out by the fall. But just apply a bead of paste in every single joint around every single opening that you want to seal. And I do mean every single joint. So, at your door, you've got a joint between the door and the frame. But you also have a joint between the frame and the trim. And you also have a joint between the trim and the wall that it's sitting in. We're only working on the outside of the house. Only, ever, on the outside of the house. We don't want that water in our wall, so we never seal inside the house. So that's 3 joints around that door that you would seal. Between the door and the jamb, between the jamb and the frame, between the frame and the wall, or between the trim and the wall, depending on how it's built. Probably 3. You're also going to completely encapsulate, meaning cover, all your door hardware. So if you've got a hinge in that height that you're working with, you're going to encapsulate that hinge in this paste. So, we put on the paste, we take our handy-dandy little gap filler tool and we press that paste in so that it fills that joint as far as we can. We're not making pretty joints. If I had made joints that were this ugly when I was a contractor, I would have starved to death. So you press the paste into the joint, and then you wait an hour. You work around the house. You do another opening. But in an hour or so, when it's dry to the touch, you come back with a disposable chip brush and you put a little liquid over top of that. Same material, different viscosity. You take a chip brush and you quickly brush a coat of the liquid across the paste. You cover all 3 of those joints we talked about. One swipe. Takes 2 minutes to cover a door. And you're done. That's it. That's all there is to this. Apply, press, top coat. Apply, press, top coat. That's all there is. That's how simple this is. Don't be deluded. Don't be confused over what you might see on television. You don't need to do a layer and wait 24 hours. None of that stuff. Apply, press, top coat, and you're done. And you can stop that water. Low-level flooding. Okay. A lot of words. We've got lots of information. The brochures have a QR code, you know, the thing we all learned to use after the pandemic and we had to order in a restaurant. It's got a QR code on it. Will allow you to get lots more information following that. Questions? Yes. Yes, ma'am. Do you have to overlap? You will by nature, because it's a brush and it's a liquid. You'll be a little wider than a paste, but not much. Yes, ma'am. The question is, if we take the liquid and we apply it wider than we apply the paste, which is a best practice, will it also peel off? And the answer is yes. It will not peel as cleanly as paste. And the thinner it gets, the harder it is. And the more weathered your surface is, the harder it is. But it does peel off, and it peels off like the paste does. There. Thank you. It's always better to apply all these products thicker than thinner. I'm not saying that because we need to sell product. I'm saying that because it will peel more cleanly and you'll be happier with the result. Of course. Yes, sir.
Hurricane plastic. Yes, sir. The panels, that would be great because I cut it to the frame of the window. I would put that on there, and then we won't get any.
The young man just asked me if he can put this around the perimeter of a hurricane panel that's custom fit to the window. I applaud that. I also believe that in 5 years' time, many systems, I said I was going to New York to test a system, we're working with those folks because they're going to use a little bit of our paste around their systems to seal their system to the wall. So I think in 5 years' time, many systems will be providing this paste to go around the system for supplemental protection, which is what you're describing. Yes, I think it's a great idea. Absolutely. Okay, well, yeah. You can always get this, by the way. Some Ace stores in the country, right here in the Gulf, are leading the way. The Depot and Lowe's are not leading the way. Right now, the Depot and Lowe's are eschewing this product because it's seasonal, in their words, not mine. So you can get it through some Gulf Ace stores. I'm talking to 65 of them in July. But you can always get it from FlexSealProducts.com, and that is on that QR code in the brochure in the back. FlexSealProducts.com will always get it. Amazon sometimes, but when they do, they're ordering from us and then sending it to you. We still send it to you free freight. Any way you get it, it's going to help. Ma'am, you've been very patient.
When you were here before, you mentioned that you're coming up with a product because I've got sliders.
Yeah, let's talk about sliders. The question, ma'am, if you allow me to paraphrase, the question is about sliding glass doors. Thank you so much for bringing that up. I did mention the last time I was here that we're bringing out a new filler product, and it's actually a foam filler, so this gets hard to say. It's Flex Seal's foam filler. We're probably going to call it 3F. That will be a lightweight moldable foam that will go in your sliding glass door track. Put the paste over it and the liquid over that, and you will have a really great seal that will peel right out after the storm. That product, I'm going to New York to do a railway project with it in about 2 weeks. That's the first actual implementation. I've tested it to Christmas in my lab, but the first actual on-site application is going to be in New York in a railway lab. But that's the same technology we're going to bring to you just as quick as we can get it to market, and I think that's August. It's the first part of August. We expect to have it available. Keep an eye on FlexSealProducts.com. You'll see announcements about this, but it is something we're really excited is going to help a lot of folks because sliding glass doors are difficult. Man, they're difficult. Meantime, God forbid, should we have an event, put paste in your door track. I wouldn't pour it full of liquid because if it gets around your wheels, you're never going to use that door again. It'll be a big mess. Much better, shoot the track full of paste. It's a lot of paste, but it's better than having the water get in. And that will stop the water. It's just harder to do. It's a lot more work. It's a lot more material. The filler foam will take care of that. Foam filler. Yes, ma'am.
So is this something you have to do every time before?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. This is just like old-fashioned hurricane shutters. You have to put it up every single time. Sorry. Now, if you're a snowbird and you leave us, you can put it in and leave and come back and take it out. But no, ma'am, you have to do it every single time. Yes, ma'am.
What about the tape?
Okay, tape is a wonderful product. I have it here. I have it in the back. Tape is a wonderful product for certain applications, okay? Tape works best on surfaces that are entirely smooth, not wood grained, not textured, like your garage door is often textured. Doesn't adhere well, doesn't seal well. So if it's something that's perfectly smooth, perfectly parallel, and doesn't bend, tape works fabulously. However, in the world I live in, the world I build in, most things are either not perfectly parallel or not perfectly smooth or not perfectly straight. So I use paste. The one place I will absolutely use tape, and I have a video on this, they're releasing that one, is between the first and second panel of a garage door, which is about 14 inches off the ground. First and second panel of a smooth garage door is a fabulous place to put tape. Okay? All right. Likewise, spray. We have a great spray. Wonderful product for top coating. It is not any better than liquid. Liquid's faster, liquid's more reliable. The spray has two great applications. Number one, if you have storefront doors similar to this, and they have a special wet gasket, you can look at that gasket and it wasn't put in pre-formed, but it was actually put in with a caulk gun, then spray that before you put the paste on and it'll come off easier later. That's a very rare thing. Secondly, if you have, if you're going away, if you're going to leave us for the summer, I really hope that you'll spray your application before you go, because it'll make it easier to get off later. Other than that, third thing, and the third place to use spray is if the water is right here and you're still battling, you put your paste down, you're waiting on it to dry to the touch, and the water is threatening right around your feet, take your spray and spray from the bottom up, and it will dry in 5 minutes time, where the liquid would take an hour, hour and a half. So those are the three places I'll substitute spray for liquid. Question? Yes, sir.
I got a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
Shelf life.
Yes, sir.
We buy it today. We don't get a hurricane this year, hopefully, thank God. What about 2 years from now?
Shelf life is one. Let me take them one at a time. Shelf life. So long as you keep it cool and dry, we've never found the shelf life. Now, if it goes in my shed over in Broward County, which sits in the sun and probably gets to be 130, it's going to be shortened. But if you keep it cool and dry, we've never found the shelf life. Next question.
Reading reviews, some people complained about it getting hard. Maybe it was the way it was stored. And also people had problems with it staining when they went to peel it off. Because I saw you last time and I'm sold on it. But my question is,
Okay. Great questions. Let me see if I get them both. If I forget one, you remind me. Staining. If you put this over an unsealed piece of wood and you leave it there, it very likely will discolor. Unsealed. Especially if it's a light wood like white pine. Or if it's porous wood like, say, western red cedar. You might see a yellowing effect if it's unsealed. If it's sealed, we've not had that problem. So that's as candid as I can be.
So if it's painted, you're good.
Oh, it's painted, you should be really good, especially if the paint is good and tight and has any sheen at all. The higher the pearlescence of the paint, whether it's eggshell or pearl or gloss would be wonderful, semi-gloss, gloss, as long as it has some sheen, it should release well. If it's weathered and if it oxidized, and you can wipe your hand across white and you see white on it, it's probably going to be more difficult. And it's certainly going to stain. But even if it does, you can still take denatured alcohol and a nylon brush and get it off. Then I think I missed a question in there.
Yeah, some people complained that it would harden you too when it went to go.
I have never experienced that at all. My alarm just went off to tell me I'm talking too long. I have never experienced that.
I just read the reviews on it, that's all.
No, I appreciate it very much. Our experience has been if you keep it cool and dry, it does not deteriorate and you will not have that problem. But if you do have product that fails and you stored it right, for sure we want to know and we want it back. Well, if it's been opened, it's going to fail. I mean, if it's been opened for any period of time, any mastic that I have ever used, and again, I've been doing this a very long time, I have never had any luck with any of the things that you buy to preserve mastic. Once the cartridge has been pierced, it eventually dries up. Just does. Now, oftentimes with ours, because it's a two-piece nozzle, it's a little user tip. If you'll unscrew the nozzle, you can pull the solid plug out of the nozzle and put it back on and back in business, because down inside of here is still liquid, but it gets hard up in there, and you just unscrew this, pop it out, and Bob's your uncle. He actually was my uncle. It's a true story. Uncle Bob. Any questions?
Are you offering deals we can make a purchase today?
I tell you what, there is always a quantity discount with FlexSealProducts.com. Always. So it's not a lot. It's 5% over, I think, $500 today. But it changes all the time, so keep an eye on that. But there's always quantity discounts for buying in larger numbers. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, God, no. No, it is you're going to get it, it's going to come in a bag, and you're going to take it out of that bag, and you're going to press it into that joint, probably with a margin trowel or a small plastic blade. Okay? It is absolutely not a spray foam, and my fear is that if we give people a spray foam, it's going to happen exactly what would happen if you use great stuff. And many of you saw that video of the gentleman putting great stuff in a sliding glass door track. I'm sure those wheels are still right where they were the day you put them in. Great stuff, in my opinion, is not so great. Yes, sir. Well, we do have an estimator, not an estimator, an estimating tool that we have that will do that number for you. If you tell it how many doors of what size, and it'll tell you what to buy. But in general, I would tell you that if your home is 1,500 square feet, you're probably going to spend somewhere between $250 and $300 in materials. And remember, folks, if you get an inch of water, I don't mean to be a boogeyman, but if you get an inch of water, your average damage, we know, is about $25,000. Yes, sir. That is probably the best question I have heard in the year and a half I've been doing this. The gentleman asked me, so you've got a storm coming and you've got this long runway, I'm paraphrasing heavily, but you got this long runway, you're watching it, but up until 12 hours, you really don't know what's happening. How long before it gets here should you start to take action? Well, I normally am a belt and suspenders kind of guy, meaning I'm going to err on the side of caution. So I'm probably one of those nervous folks that's going to be out there a couple of days in advance. But you only need, plus evacuation time, okay? Plus evacuation time, you probably only need half a dozen hours to do a good-sized house. If you've got the products and you're familiar with them and you can do it, I could probably do an average-sized house in 3 or 4 hours. But you need to allow yourself time to get accustomed and play with the material. That doesn't really answer your question. Only you can decide what your comfort zone is. My comfort zone is not very high. I'm not a very adventuresome kind of guy. I mean, I've got a ditch bag I've got a 12-foot rowing skiff at home, and I've got a ditch bag in it with electronics. So that'll tell you the kind of guy I am. Well, it's going to be a lot faster to remove. However, I will tell you something that I haven't said, and you'll be the first crowd because we've had this experience now. If you put this product on, I had a customer, true story, over in Fort Myers Beach. In Venice. They asked me to come and treat a doorway at their homeowners association to train them. I did so, and I said, now this is going to be, we did it on Friday. I said, you're not going to take this off this week, right? No, we don't need this door at all. So they went back the next day and tried to take it off. And of course what they had was a gummy mess. If you pull this off the day after you put it on, the center of that joint is still going to be wet. It'll be dry on the outside, it's going to be wet on the inside. It's going to be gummy, and it's going to be a mess. You need to leave it a couple of days for it to cure through, depending on how much of it you had to use. If your joints are big like my thumb, it's going to take a couple of days. Okay, folks, I know that I have used all my time. I would urge you to come see us in the back. My much better half is there, and she's smarter and brighter and prettier than I am. So come and see us. We'll be happy for you to take a brochure. Thank you so much for being here.
All right, thank you, Sam. Thank you for driving here with your beautiful wife. It's okay. Thank you very much for driving here with your beautiful wife, and I hope you have a safe drive back to Broward County. So Sam's going to be in the back for a little bit answering questions, and again, you can feel free to go around and talk to the different vendors and presenters. We are going to have Pete come up here from Sun Conyer next. Some of you might say, what does that have to do with flood prevention? However, Pete has some really interesting facts that happened during the hurricane about his furniture, so it's interesting. And also, don't forget that Down Home Needs is outside selling food. All right, Pete?
Hey, so first off, there's not a thing I can do to keep water out of your house. I know you all came here to find out that. But one thing that I can do to help you is I can make sure that you have furniture if your house floods. I don't know if you heard about all the things that happened down at the beach. My wife and I manufacture recycled plastic furniture. And we manufacture it here in Pasco County. And everything on that beach survived the front lines of this latest attack. It's all survived, every single piece. 44 picnic tables, 24 duodeck sets, 4 48-inch tables, 16 chairs, and it all ended up at one corner of the beach because the stuff will float, but it all stayed and it all survived. And it wasn't just the furniture in the corner of the beach. There were dock poles, there were cement trash receptacles. Everything was in that mountain, 10-foot deep washing machine in the corner of the beach. When it was all said and done, 2 weeks later we had everything back in place. Every bit of it survived. But more importantly, as I drove around the neighborhood and I looked at these mountains of furniture and their people's personal belongings and their cabinets and their walls and their floors, there was one thing I didn't see, and I doubt that you did either, was a single piece of furniture that Joe and I built. There wasn't any. In fact, most of our customers called us and they said that they were now using our furniture that they bought for their lanai and their patio inside their house because everything was in their house is now in the front yard to be picked up. And I don't know how many of you is that true? Is there anybody in here? You? That was true of so many of our customers. In fact, no one lost any single piece of it, even though it floats. It floated down the canal, they got it back unharmed. Except for one person that's still looking for a bar stool. If you happen to find a bar stool, let me know. I know who's missing it. But the point is that the stuff that we build, we can say now is largely hurricane proof. If not, at least say we can say it's flood proof. And it's durable. And we're proud of the stuff. So after the hurricane, because we live here in Gulf Harbors, our house got flooded too. We live here. We knew that we were going to lose a lot of business right off the bat because Gulf Harbors is 90% of our business. Has been for 5 years. We're on every street. You can see our furniture anytime you're in a boat going down a canal. You can see our stuff, all the bright colors. And so we knew something was going to be bad for us going forward, that we were going to lose 90% of our business. We have our factory to support. So we did 2 things. First of all, we decided to open our own retail store over here on US 19. We're right across from Kane's Furniture. And it's a little place, but we also decided to help out a lot of the people that live in Gulf Harbors, especially the artisans that live in Gulf Harbors. So not only do we sell the furniture in our store, but we're also selling artwork made by people who live here who are also struggling to get through this crisis. And I know that many of you are not worried about buying patio furniture right now. You're worried about fixing your homes and buying furniture in your home. I get that. But when you're ready, know where we're at. The second thing that we did, we decided to set up we went back into our roots of kitchen cabinetry. We sell a solid wood line of kitchen cabinets, artisan mills, and there's no particle board, no press board, no masonite.
I'm just interrupting you for a second. In the back, if you could just talk a little bit lower, sorry, because we're trying to listen to Pete talking up here. Just talk a little bit lower, please. Thank you.
It's okay. A lot of these people already know me. They're all customers. So, almost everybody in here is one of my customers already, so I'm not going to make a big dent today. But the other thing that we did, we set up a design studio in our house on Shell Stream Boulevard with the latest and greatest software, 2020 Pro. And our distributor is supplying us with Artisan Mills cabinetry. My wife and I distribute this. We are working in partnership with Mike Henderson Company, and Mike Henderson installs every bit of it. He also does molding and trim. He does a lot of different things, doors. He does all kinds of different things that you might still need. I know a lot of you are still in the midst of it. You'll gut your bathroom and replace it. We just supply the bathroom vanities. Everything that we have, about 10 different flavors of kitchen cabinets, 10 different colors and styles, all solid wood stuff, all self-closing hinges, really nice stuff. We've completed about 12 kitchens so far in the neighborhood. Everyone happy with us. We're not the cheapest because we're not selling the particle board, but we're not the most expensive at all. We're not even close. We're not going to gouge our friends and our neighbors. Half of you are my friends, the rest of you are my neighbors. We're not going to gouge people in a time of crisis. We're not doing that. We're just fair. We're just being fair about it. And we're pretty quick about it. So in most cases, your kitchen could be designed in 2 days. Your cabinets will show up in about 4 to 5 weeks at the most, depending if you go to one of the more elaborate colors, it might take 6 weeks. But then it's delivered and it gets installed. And Mike does a phenomenal job of doing that. He actually now lives at our house with us so that he can be here on site doing this work. So he's kind of like our new roommate now. So even though he lives in Brooksville, you've probably seen him in his little red trailer all over Gulf Harbors. So anyway, those are the 2 things that we did. If you get a chance, come and visit our store. Even if you're not ready for furniture, take a look at all the different stuff that we're selling in there from the artisans that live here, and just check out all the new stuff that we're doing. It is our new showroom. Our showroom used to be our backyard in Gulf Harbors here. It used to be our back road on Shell Stream Boulevard. But now we have a store, and we hope you'll stop by and check it out. And hopefully in the future, when you're all ready for your furniture, you'll come by and see it. That's pretty much it for me, unless anybody has any questions for me. Ask me anything. Our furniture is all the hardware in our furniture is 316 stainless steel. That's the marine grade stainless steel. Nothing's going to rust. Can't rust. Even if it went in the canal. In fact, even if you look at the furniture down in the beach that went through carnage. I don't know if anybody saw the video that was shot down there by a neighbor that rode the storm out of 10 foot of water just beating 44 picnic tables. I mean, I thought nothing was going to survive at all. I actually called up Mike Tiger, the president of the beach club down there, the day after the flood had receded, and I asked him, I said, how's it look? And he said, really bad. Really, really bad. I said, do you think any of it survived? There's $200,000 worth of furniture down there. I consider them my kids. I've never had kids, so they're my kids. I created them, along with my beautiful wife, Jill. And so I was really upset to see that this had happened because, when you create kids, you expect them to live forever. You know, if that's even possible. Well, it is possible for me. Yeah, it's about, sure, it is beat up. It's got the battle scars to show that it was at the front lines all night. But it's still there. It's not, it don't look brand new anymore. No, it don't. But it's still there. And none of it's rusted. To answer your question, yet. Oh, no. Thank you for the question. I appreciate it. No, that's a perfect question. Yes, we didn't cheap out on the hardware. We decided to go with 316 stainless. And don't be fooled. Stainless steel is not stainless steel. Like Home Depot will sell you stainless steel bolts, but it's 818. It's not 316. It's stainless, but it's a lesser alloy. It will rust. The stuff that we're using, the 316, does not rust. You won't get stains. The other thing is not a lot sticks to our furniture. You know, this recycled plastic is a unique animal. It's HDPE, high-density polyethylene plastic. It's made from recycled bottles and jugs. We import this from Ohio. It is Cleveland's plastic and jugs that they extrude into the lumber that we make our furniture out of. So it's made in the USA. It comes to me to Pasco County for our factory in Industrial Park off Stone Road. And we machine it. We have a large plastics machine shop where me and Jill, for 5 years, have made all this furniture by ourselves. Every bit of it. I design it, we build it. We work together doing this. And then now we have our store in Newport Richey. So this is basically all manufactured right here in Pasco County entirely. And so, yeah, there's other places out there. And I think you're welcome to shop us online for price anytime you want, because we're intentionally staying about 20% below everybody. We haven't seen anybody that can meet us on price because we're the manufacturer. We're not a retailer. We're not the middleman. You can buy directly from us right from our own showroom, and we don't have to mark it up 40% because we bought it from someone else, or because we had to ship it down from the Amish in Ohio or Pennsylvania. We don't have to do that. You don't have to order from Hollywood from all the way north. Trust me, they got nothing on me design-wise. I'm a son of an engineer, and I know how to design stuff. I spent 25 years building jewelry stores for the major malls. Design, manufacture, deliver, install in malls all across the country. So for me, what I'm doing now is child's play. It truly is. And I'm enjoying it. I'm getting a little older, so I kind of could use a little less stress in what I do. And so that's what I'm doing now. This is 5 years, that's what I've been doing. And we enjoy doing it. And I want to say one other thing to you, all of you here that are still listening. You know, back there buying Flex Seal right now. Big line for that Flex Seal. I just want to say another thing. I just want to say thank you to all barbers, because for 5 years, you've been 90% of my business. And if it weren't for you, well, you're the reason that me and Joe get to continue living here in paradise. And although we all got really wet, really wet, we got wet too. It's still paradise, and we're not going anywhere. And hopefully, thanks to you all barbers, you'll still be there to help keep us here, because we want to stay here. And we appreciate you. Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you very much, Pete and Jill. Thank you very much. So again, we have down home D's outside with food. Feel free to walk around and talk with the different vendors and participants. Feel free to look at the posters up here and take pictures and add things to them. Also, we're going to have Garrison Flood come up here in about 5 minutes. We're trying to stick on schedule a little bit, so it's going to be about 5 minutes before Garrison comes up and starts speaking. Thank you. Okay, we are going to have Mark from Garrison Flood Control talking now. If you all want to pay attention up here, and if you're not paying attention up here, if you could just quiet down in the back a little bit so he doesn't have to shout over you. Thank you.
All right, thank you all. My name is Mark Weatherich with Garrison Flood Control. I see a lot of familiar faces from the last event, so good to see some of you again. Today I have two of our top selling products. I have our hammerhead system, which I have our hammerhead system here, and then I have our Mayim barriers here. So two big differences. The Mayim barriers are freestanding. These come in 20, 30, and 40-inch heights. Oh, that's sorry. Thought I heard something. 20, 30, and 40-inch heights. This is an end gable, so if you do a garage, some structure that has ends to it and you want a little extra protection, you can put that here. These work best on solid surfaces, of course, level concrete, pavers, travertine, what have you. Again, 20, 30, 40 inches high. A little extra protection, throw some sandbags on top if you want to, depending on how many you have together. These are about 39 inches wide each, and they weigh about 25, 30 pounds each, depending on the size you get. So having a dolly or something goes a long way, makes it a lot easier to roll out and store. They all interlock and click together. What I always say, no surface is perfectly even. And it's very easy to tell if, for example, you have a little blip somewhere, just to sandbag it there to get it down to the ground. You don't want to see anything underneath, so if pavers, what have you, have a little unevenness, throw a sandbag on top of there, throw some Flex Seal foam on top, works great underneath it together. Really good pairing, and you have a really great protection. Our second and our top selling product is our hammerhead system. So this is our aluminum planks and our stainless steel mounts. These are custom cut for your openings. The nice part is you have two options. You have an outside mount and an inside mount. So depending on the structure of your home, will depend on what mounts that we choose to use, but you have both options, which is nice. Then very simple. The planks simply slide in. Let me grab my Allen key. And the planks slide out and slide in very easily. You'll see the little tongue and groove action, which is nice. So when you slide the planks in, you have a seal on the front, a seal on the back. And I know it's hard to see from everyone's seat, but when you tighten these bolts, there's a pressure plank back here that pushes against the mounts, against the neoprene seal in the back. So you have a seal on the side. You have two seals here, two seals here, two seals front and back, and two seals on the bottom as well. So, the number 2 is my big number, so you have two seals everywhere on this. And then it's very simple. I always say, when you slide it back in, you truly can't go wrong. I always say, if it looks like that, it's pretty obvious, and you can't put the top pressure mounts on, you press them all in place. You have two pressure mounts, one for each side. You simply place it in and tighten it down. And it's really as simple as that. Very easy to slide in. Most homes could be done in 60 to 90 minutes max. The key with this system is, you'll see the bottom seal here, it must be on a level, flush, smooth concrete surface. So if you have pavers or something with grooves or what have you, we will pull up a row of pavers and pour a concrete footer. That is the most important part to our system, having that seal and that smooth concrete at the bottom. Our crews do all of that from the concrete work to the installation, so everything from start to finish. Once the concrete footers are done, we're at about 5 weeks right now for that to be done. We would install about 3 weeks later. So that's how long the process takes. any other small modifications with molding or anything needed. I will be in Newport Richey next Thursday. I'm keeping it wide open. If you haven't grabbed my card yet, please do. If you can shoot me an email with your name, phone number, and address, and if you send me pictures of your home as well, that'd be great, and we can set a time next Thursday if that works for you. I love to FaceTime, so we can FaceTime together too before then. Or I can still come to your house that day if you're not home, take measurements, take pictures, get you a quote, and if everything looks good, come back at a later day as well if it makes sense. Oh, sure, yeah, want to see my shirt? Yeah. All right, it's brand new. Yes, question? For dry flood proofing, no. We're not making any structural changes to the house, so simply putting some anchors in, and it's like hanging a clock in your backyard. Yes, we would pour the concrete as well, correct. Nope. Yep, you're all good. Yes. Yes. Correct, yeah. So this product is for the most vulnerable places of the home. Your front door, garage door, sliders, back doors, double doors, all of your openings where water can get in the house. Obviously other areas of your home. I always recommend, obviously, if there are any cracks in your stucco, to have those sealed. Low dryer vents, outlets, having a backflow valve installed. I'm sure a lot of you might have flooded through your toilets, your showers, and saw some nasty gunk come up from the sewer. If that happened to you, I'm sure you already have a backflow valve. And typically, any local plumber, they'll run it from your main sewer line, so that will close, so the backup from the sewer will not come into your house. Because to do everything on the outside to then flood on the inside is tragic, to be honest. So yes, yes.
Generally, some of the homes install rains and flood, or is the homeowner?
Yeah, so the homeowner is responsible for that. We do have a third-party service, it's not Garrison. We do have a third party, we can give you their name and phone number to call. They charge a monthly fee, so it's kind of like a gym membership. If you use it or not, you have to pay for it. And you can use it as many times as you want. But the planks themselves, the largest plank we have before we split it is 10 feet. And then that will weigh just about 21 pounds. So most openings are about, I'd say, 10 to 15 pounds on average. One person can usually do it, 2 people, it's very simple. And I can gladly, if you ask for me in an email, I'll send you a video of installing them and how easy it is. Yep, so these can go as high as 53 inches, about 4.5 feet. Once you go higher beyond 5 feet, which they can go, we do recommend getting a structural engineer to come evaluate your house, everything about it from your roof line, the angle of your house, just to ensure that your home could withstand those heights of mounts and the static pressure of a hurricane, that they will remain in the home beyond 5 feet. I'd say most people, by a show of hands, if anybody here get over 4 feet of water in their house, you got over 4 feet? Oh, you're the lucky one. Okay, you're the winner. Got you. Okay, good. So we'll talk. But yes, they can go higher than 6 feet, in those type situations. But we recommend 4.5 feet without an engineer involved. Yes.
Do those stay attached to your home then?
Yes.
That becomes a part of your decor?
Yeah, yes.
And then the inserts are, you store them somewhere and you bring out the inserts to slide them in, like the old hurricane shutters or something.
Correct, yes.
Or just bottom up.
Correct. So these are anchored into your home. As I always say, nothing's permanent. Obviously, you can take them off and put them back in when the time comes. Any average home, I'd say, has 5 openings, six anchors per opening. So if you're okay with putting 30 anchors in a few days before a hurricane, resealing all the mounts, and want to go through that yourself, you're more than welcome to. We strongly recommend that you leave them up. If you hate them that much after a couple weeks, take them down, but we seal them when we leave. So you have to do nothing but slide the planks in and tighten when the time comes. Yep, so the gaskets will last, arguably forever. They're T6 marine gray stainless steel, won't rust, won't tarnish, so leave it out all season long. It'll look the same year after year. And this is anodized aluminum, so if it scratches or anything as well, it won't rust. And also, this has been through, I always joke, probably about 3,000 hurricanes, how many times I've dragged it in and out of my truck and car. So, and it still looks pretty good, I think. But yeah. Yes?
That monthly service that you talked about, will they remove those things and put them back on for storms, or they only come and put the inserts in?
Yes, they will only come and put the inserts in.
Yes.
You know what? Talk to them. I think they should do more too, Talk to them.
People like Judi.
There you go. Bribe your neighbor, I always say. Yep, so these can go 10 feet. After 10 feet, they're split with the center post. So, like a 16-foot two-car garage would be 8 feet and 8 feet, for example. The center post goes into a base plate. That's removable, of course. So that is only put in when the time comes, if it goes beyond 10 feet.
Hi,
Yes, sir.
Those planks you have going in there,
Yes.
they're 15 inches, you say is the first one that goes in? And
Yes.
every one of them could be 15 inches or what?
So these are just under 8 inches each. So you can go, the lowest that we go is 2 planks, which is about 15 inches. Then it goes to about 24 inches, 31 inches, 39, 47, 53.
Can you put in 2 15-inch planks?
Oh, yeah. There's no limit to the width of these. It can go as small or as large as you want. But the 8 inches in height, can't be changed. No problem. Yeah. So great question. But she asked, what's the point of failure? I'll say that last year we unfortunately all learned a valuable lesson, which stunk. The worst storm in 100 years. The main point of failures last year were that it went over our barriers. Prior to last year, most people got 16 or 24 inches in protection. And I got a phone call 2 days ago from someone saying, hey, I want you to come to my house. I heard your barriers work great until the water went over them. So that was our biggest point of failure when people went too low, of course, which no one knew what was going to happen last year. Self-installing, I'll always say, pouring a concrete footer, while it is a simple process, without being reinforced with rebar, being level and smooth on top and not going down the full 12 inches, could compromise, the planks, not tightening the bolts properly, which we send install instructions, and just other parts of your home are the biggest part of the failure, where you have to prepare, like I said, the dryer vents, back to all that stuff. But up to, the height that you have and the doors that we do for you, you are protected up to that height. So as long as they're installed properly and the concrete footers are done correctly and they're anchored into your home and sealed off, nothing should get to it.
I know they gotta be concrete. It's gotta be sealed good.
Yeah, sliding doors, any type of door, it'll surround front of your house, side of your house, back of your house, any size door. I just did a 50-foot back slider. It had three center posts and 5 10-foot planks across someone's entire backyard. A huge slider. So yeah, absolutely. Yes, so I think I got the question. For attaching it to homes, you want to attach the concrete block is the best, to do. Wood frame homes or anything that's not concrete block, we do not recommend going above 5 planks for once. And obviously when wood gets wet, it weakens, so the static pressure just pulling on wet wood, could be a concern for any product. So going into concrete block is the key.
Well, we tried the drilling
Yeah, we've had, obviously, a few calls over the years, of course. So, failure's tough because it's really hard to know how it was installed, how it was tightened, user error, was it us? It's really hard, I'll say. It's pinpoint. Oh, it was a self-install? Yeah, listen, a lot of people do self-install and have great success. It's not rocket science how to do it, but if you don't do it, if you don't attach them correctly and seal them properly and anchor them correctly and have a loose anchor, it will fail. So if they self-install, I recommend, we're always in the area. If you do self-install yourself, let us come by and take a look real quick. We're more than happy to. So.
How heavy would one of those planks, an average 10-foot plank, be?
Yep, so it's about 2 pounds per foot. So an average 10-foot plank would be about 21 pounds. So, a 5-foot plank about 10 pounds and so on. So about 2 pounds per foot, and the biggest one could be 10 feet only.
Standard price?
Yes. Yeah, so if you shoot me an email, we have our standard price list PDF with, a 3-foot door, a 4-foot door, a 10-foot door. So, and it shows the cost of the materials for different heights. So email me and ask me for that, and I'll shoot it right over to you. No problem.
Any other questions?
Can we contact you with this card that you gave out? Can
Yes.
we contact you with this card?
Yes, contact me. So I prefer my mobile number, not the office number, and my email. Email first, send me your name, address, and send me pictures of your home if you could. If you want me to come by, I'll schedule a time with you next week or the following week. And just based on the pictures, I can send you kind of a cost estimate, pictures of what we've done for others and what we can do for you. And as long as everything looks good to you, we can talk further, of course. Yes.
How much lead time do you need to start manufacturing after you do your measurements and stuff?
Yep, so once you make your deposit, it's a 50% deposit, 50% at completion, 5 weeks for your concrete footers about, and then at the 8-week mark, we'll install it for you. So about, 8 weeks right now. We're trying to improve on that a little bit, being the time of year we're in, but 8 weeks max right now.
And if you don't need the concrete footer, I guess it's less time.
Correct, yeah. If going to the concrete footer, we'll aim for 4 to 6 weeks. Correct, yeah. If it's a concrete driveway, concrete back area with a nice concrete slab, no need for footers, obviously, to tear it out for any reason, unless it's, damaged and chipped and uneven, of course. But yeah, if it's, pretty good concrete, you're good to go. Awesome. Thank you all so much. Like I said, grab a card. Let me know any questions you have. I'm more than happy to come by next week. So thank you all so much.
Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you very much. And his information is back at his table. And we're going to have Andrew come up from Fortress Screens. We're just going to try and lower the voices in the back a little, and so that the people up here don't have to talk as loud into the microphones. It'll all even out. So we have Andrew from Fortress Screens. And I believe it's Chris St. Peters lives here in the neighborhood, right? Yeah, so Chris St. Peters, who owns it? Does he own Fortress Screens or what? He's the boss, okay. All right.
Hello there. How's everybody doing? My name is Andrew Massey. I'm with Fortress Screens, and my boss lives in your neighborhood here. So some of you might know him. But this won't help in flooding, but it will help from flying debris and intruders. So these are impact screens, and they mount to your building, and they stay on all year long. And this is an aluminum frame, and it's stainless steel mesh, so there's no rusting or anything like that. But you cannot cut these at all. So, and they'll take a 2x4 at over 100 miles an hour. So they're really, really durable, and they stay on all year long. We're finding that this pallet that we have on here is blocking a lot of UV rays, and it's actually cooling your house kind of like tinting would do. And so we've got a couple different ways. This is a fixed screen that you can't get out, but on your bedrooms you've got to have an egress. So that'd be one that you can get out. So it's got a nice, so you can get in and out. We're about 4 to 6 weeks out on these, so it's a pretty quick turnaround. But it's a real inexpensive way to keep your house safe from intruders and flying debris. Any questions? Yes, sir. How do we secure it? Yeah, tap cons. So it would go into your stucco, whatever siding you have. Yes, sir. Any other questions? Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yes, sir. You'll get the same discount on your homeowner's insurance as you would with shutters or impact windows. You bet.
Questions, anybody else? No?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, wonderful.
All right, he's going to be at his
Here,
table.
grab a card if you'd like to get a quote, and thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Andrew. So we have a few minutes until 7, and at 7 o'clock we're going to have Floodgate Pro, Dominic from Floodgate Pro come up and speak, so we have a few minutes. Once again, for those of you who didn't hear me before, we have, Down Home D's outside selling food. We have the boards up there for sharing information with your neighbors, and then you're welcome to walk around and talk with all of the
Actually, we've got a airplane in the shop, and we've shot 174 miles an hour. Time.
When I grew up, was just like windows are different because of cars. And then they made it like 60 or something. Then they sent the swing to go. So they would just take the bottom and put another window, you know, how they fit into it. So now they put like a metal burger bar straight through. It's like a sliding mesh. This would work.
We do a lot of it. Commercial buildings. Because it doesn't take away from
it's aluminum. You can make it as long as it's aluminum, you use it like
yeah, we could. This is 93 volt thick. Ways attack. This is screwed up here. Covers here.
most of the top of the screen.
in schedule with our speakers, so it's just a couple minutes and we're going to have Dominic speak. So while we're waiting for that, I'm just going to go over a couple of these things on the boards here because I feel like it's really important. The aftermath of the flood was something, I don't even know what to say about that, but these are supplies that we found we needed immediately following the flood. People were donating it to the hall here where we had Golf Harbor Strong running, and we were giving it away for free. So these were the supplies that we needed immediately following the flood. That I'm asking if you have anywhere to stock your stuff higher up. Maybe the wind won't get it and carry it away. If you have a storage area that's off the water somewhere, stock up on this stuff because you're going to need it again if this ever happens again. How many of you remember our gas shortage? Was that a nightmare? After everything else, we didn't have gas, and thankfully a company came and brought the gas tankers here to the parking lot, and they were selling all of the 5-gallon gas tanks for us. What a blessing that was. But this is a list of things you don't want to forget. A lot of people forgot their medications, their kitty litter, their dog food. Thankfully, Best Care Veterinary came here and they gave us a bunch of donations of stuff like that. But first aid items, and then of course, the number one things on the list were trash bags, bleach, vinegar, brooms, mops, buckets, like all of that stuff. Moving over to this board here, what did you do first after the flood? Most of it was going and filing with your insurance company to get that claim number so that you can move forward and have your first inspection so you can get your first check, if any of you got that, and file with FEMA, who can forget about that. Get the electric batteries out of your bikes, golf carts, and everything. Get it out of your garage so it doesn't start on fire. Get yourself a storage unit. We were having to drive miles to get a storage unit. Get yourself a rental place to stay. We were having to drive miles because nobody had electricity, so we personally ended up staying in Spring Hill for the first week. Take out your drywall. I mean, there was just so many things, boom, 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 that you had to get. How about this one? Get it in writing from Pasco County, what they were going to require, and then keep checking with them every week to see if it changed. But you do want to get things in writing, and here's a funny story I can share is, I think Judi was involved with this meeting with Paris. There was a gentleman from Pasco County that was wearing a purple shirt who spoke at that meeting, and he had said something about you couldn't be your own contractor if you were making money on a house, but if your kids lived in the house and you weren't making money off of it, you could do that, right? Well, that happened to be my case, and so I went to Pasco County and I said, the man in the purple shirt said this, and they were like, who's the guy in the purple shirt? And I got my videotape out and I showed it to the people at Pasco County. And I was like, this man in the purple shirt, and they knew who he was, and it was on tape that he said that, because they were not going to let me go through with it. So, I mean, you want to get things in writing from Pasco County. Save all of the receipts. I was just told recently that if your insurance gives you, for example, $40,000 and you end up spending $20,000 more to replace things, you can claim that in your taxes, which I didn't know things like that. And then, my neighbors told me that you can take your bullets to a shooting range because they're not good anymore, but you can't put them in your garbage. So take your bullets from guns, if anybody has that, and take them to a shooting range. There's other things here that I'll go over in a little bit, but it is time for Dominic to talk right now, so we're going to try and stay on schedule. So you can go ahead. Thank you so much.
Hi, how's everybody doing? The company I'm with is called Big City Ventures, Floodgate Pro. We've been in business for 21 years doing flood protection. Before that, he founded the company. His father actually made silos and doors and hatches and things like that to keep water, fluid, sewage, and everything else in. So it's a family company that they've been around for a long time, keeping fluid and liquids in for a long period of time. The elephant in the room, everybody keeps coming up to the desk and they keep asking about this panel right here. It's pretty, it's blue, it's powder coated. This is our system that we used to use. We don't use it on residential, it's mostly commercial at this point. It's a freestanding gate that we use on buildings like Scientology Center and things like that, one of our clients, and big business that we do. We do a lot of big commercial stuff as well as residential. These panels down here is what we currently use for homes. The reason why we use these is they bolt directly to the houses. Don't let the flanges fool you. Obviously, the flanges are at different angles. Everything that we do is custom built for your house. So we will make these flanges anything that we need to do. Anything that we need to do when it comes to making this angle, as you can see a little further out than that, for that opening that needs a gasket sealed on one side and then comes directly on the other side. Everything we do as well for these panel sizes, heights, can be customized as well. So we come out to your house and we measure and we make sure that it's going to fit snug on the house. And we send you a CAD drawing and you look at the drawings and you say, okay, I want this to be changed, or I want the panels to be a little bit lighter or a little bit smaller here or bigger there. Some people want just a single panel, other people want 3 panels for the same opening.